Yes, come on, lighten up. Good morning. I'm Congressman George Miller. I'm the chair of the Education and Labor Committee in the House of Representatives, and also the co-chair of the Democratic Policy Committee. Speaker Pelosi, I think, will be joining us momentarily, but we're going to go ahead and begin. Today, we acknowledge the beginning of the rollout of the Democratic Innovation Agenda. Almost 2 years ago, a group of members of Congress met at Stanford University with the leading CEOs and the venture capital community on the biotech industries and from the high-tech industries, and talked about the future of America's competitiveness and what it would take to keep America #1 in discovery and innovation and economic growth and creation of American jobs. And we were told time and again it was about encouraging and incentivizing innovation. It was about building the foundations for the next generation of innovation, the next generation of discovery. At that meeting, we said to many of the CEOs that were present that we were not asking them to change their party registration. What we were asking was, if we got it right, would they validate that we were in fact on the right track? This was good for investment, this was good for discovery, this was good for innovation. At the end of that long process, where we traveled to North Carolina, to Austin, Texas, to Houston, to Boston, to Seattle, to talk with those who were investing their own money, their clients' money, and making investments in the future of this country and in the competitive world. At the end of that process, we asked them what they thought, and in fact they said, this is the right thing to do. A key component of that legislation was a continued commitment of the federal government in basic, long-term, high-risk research. That commitment was renewed in the continuing resolution, where the first time in many years we had a plus-up in that category of that long-term, high-risk research, hopefully high-risk, high-yield research. And we continue again today, recognizing, as so many told us, that we had to rebuild the foundation of those who could participate at the high levels of math, science, and engineering, that we had to create 10,000 new innovators, but we also had to encourage people to come into the fields of science, mathematics, and engineering, and to teach and to participate, and to provide incentives for those with special talent, to make fellowships available to them. It was amazing how many of those individuals recognized that they were part of the legacy of the moonshot. It was more than a moonshot. It was about building a huge infrastructure which has yielded so much in the world of technology to the benefit of American economic growth and to our leadership around the world. Today, as we begin to consider the legislation brought forth by the Science Committee under the leadership of Congressman Bart Gordon, the chairman, we again seek the validation of those who are pointing us to the future and who are competing in that international marketplace. And I want to quote Eric Schmidt from the CEO of Google, who says, we need to continue promoting innovation and increasing the ranks of teachers, engineers, and research who are the backbone of our high-tech economy. We strongly support the bipartisan efforts in Congress to advance the innovation agenda and applaud Speaker Pelosi for her leadership. Jerry Yang, the co-founder of Yahoo: one of the most important priorities of our country must be to improve the education of our youth so that the U.S. can be positioned not only to compete but to lead a fast-changing global economy. Yahoo and the entire tech industry applaud the leadership of Speaker Pelosi in laying the foundation for American competitiveness and to increase the innovation now and in the future. We believe that one of the ways that we will do that is to early identify and to encourage and to incentivize talented students as early as high school to think about teaching the professions, to perhaps do as we now do it in the UC system, where they can achieve a concurrent degree in engineering and teaching degrees. It's not necessarily that we want to utilize their entire life career, but we want to use that enthusiasm and that knowledge and talent that they have to convey that, and then to incentivize people to go into these fields, to come into teaching, to use those talents, to recognize that, and to spread them across the entire education system. We believe that that will help us achieve that new level of growth and discovery and economic growth. And Congressman Gordon will tell you exactly what the 10,000 Innovators legislation does in this public-private partnership. And now I would like to recognize another leader in this field who was with us at those initial meetings with the biotech and the high-tech community, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, who was in a hearing across the hall on the innovation and advances on broadband. Congresswoman Eshoo.
Thank you much. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with my colleagues, to welcome all of you, and especially the wonderful and important leaders of our finest academic institutions in California. Let me just say that September 12, 2005 was a very important date. That was the day that we launched an effort in my congressional district at Stanford University, one of the great private institutions of higher learning that lives in the shadow of the greatest public university in the world, the University of California. That's right. We're split in my family. We have Berkeley, my son, Stanford, my daughter. But it was a very important beginning of a commitment that our then leader, Nancy Pelosi, was beginning to shape and form. A commitment to keep America competitive and to be number one in innovation and competitively in the world. She recognized that we had consumed the seed corn of the past, the tremendous investments that the public sector had made and had shaped really an American century, and that much work needed to be done. Very importantly, that first meeting at Stanford University with private sector leaders, venture capitalists, and I want to acknowledge that the president of Stanford University hosted that meeting, John Hennessy, because he thought that it was one of the most important things that we could engage in. So this was born and bred outside the Beltway. We knew that about some of the things that we could be doing inside the Congress, but we knew that we had to go to the private sector and meet with our nation's leaders. That meeting was duplicated across the country, in the Northeast, in the Midwest, in the Southwest, and in the Pacific Northwest. I was very proud to help host that meeting because, as you all know, Silicon Valley is known around the world as being the center of innovation. We are now focusing on developing renewable energy and clean energy technologies, and these products are going to help to make our economy competitive and have America in the lead. This innovation agenda supports all of these efforts, whether it's academic, whether it benefits the high technology industry. Most importantly, it advances the competition and the innovative edge for America. So we believe that implementing this agenda, which is a nonpartisan agenda, something that the White House and all of my colleagues in Congress can support, will spur innovation across our great country and promote new opportunities for Americans, whether they live in Palo Alto, in Providence, or Peoria. I'm very proud of what we've launched, and I'm eager for this legislation to become law. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. And now I would like to recognize Chairman Gordon, who has really, from those meetings over the last 2 years, has been spearheading this effort to, again, rebuild, reinvest in that foundation that was so successful in bringing forth the discovery and the innovation with his legislation today that will be going to the Congress.
Thank you, George. Let me first give you a little bit of a history lesson. You might remember, some of us remember, 50 years ago, Sputnik was launched. And as a reaction to that, the Science and Technology Committee was developed. to try to keep up with the Soviet Union at that time. Then later, John Kennedy obviously challenged us to do more than keep up, but to strive to even better. 49 years after that event, Speaker Pelosi, or excuse me, soon-to-be Speaker Pelosi, felt that it was important that this new Congress get up and going and with a running start. And so even before the election, she put together a committee to try to come forth with a very comprehensive innovation agenda. And apparently George Miller has a degree in herding cats, and so he was asked to head this group up, and he was able to herd those cats very well. And so let me mention to you a little bit about what we're doing. Another history lesson. A couple of years ago, I asked the National Academies to do a report on the competitiveness of America in the 21st century. They borrowed one of your Californians, Craig Barrett, Norm Augustine, many other academic and high-level industry folks came together, and they said, yes, indeed, it's going to be a very competitive 21st century for America, but unfortunately, we're on the wrong track, and that if there are not some changes made, we're going to be on a losing track. There's almost 7 billion people in the world right now. Half of them make less than $2 an hour. We can't compete in that regard. And so if we're going to compete, we have to compete by having a value-added country. But when you look around and you see how you do that through math, science, and engineering, we are very far behind. By any score you might want to see, I've seen that our students are behind all but Cyprus and South Africa in one set of scoring. And just recently, we saw how poorly our students do graduating from high school in the math and science areas. And so their recommendation, one of the recommendations was that we have to improve our K-12 math and science curriculum. And as they looked deeper into it, they discovered that the problem really wasn't having smaller classroom sizes, although that would be nice, more equipment, and that would be nice. But the problem is that approximately 50% of our math teachers at K-12 have neither a certification or a major to teach that course. And 73% of the physical science teachers have. That may be why when I was in chemistry as a junior, I burned all my eyebrows off with a Bunsen burner. So maybe I needed it may have been me, or maybe I needed better instruction. But that's a real problem in this country, and so we have to get at that some way. It's hard to inspire if you really don't know your subject matter. And scientists after scientists come before our committee, and when we ask them, why did you get involved in the area, they'll almost always say, because of an inspiration of a teacher. Sputnik for a generation did a lot of it, but oftentimes it's the teacher. So what our bill today will do will be provide 10,000 competitive scholarships for those individuals that will go into math, science, and education and agree to teach for 5 years. 5 years is important because we find that most teachers, half the teachers leave within the first 5 years. I won't go into all the details, but we provide a number of incentives there also for women and minorities to be able to get involved. We find that's where we can get the biggest bump because those are the most underrepresented. But we have a lot of good teachers out there, teachers like my father, who was a farmer. After World War II, he went to college on the GI Bill, and he got a degree in agriculture because he was a farmer. I come along, and my mother quit her job. She worked at a cafeteria in a lunchroom, and so he had to get a second job. And at that time, a lot of times, your second job was trying to be a school teacher. And he applied. He got the last job at Smyrna High School. And since he got the last job, he was assigned to teach, I think you know, high school science and coach the girls' basketball. And I'm not sure which one he knew the least about. And we've put a lot of our teachers in that situation now. And so we also provide stipends for 250,000 teachers a year to be able to come in for summers to get that certification, hopefully to get a master's, hopefully to become AP courses. And so, this is a part of the way that we're going to try to get that level up. We'll also have scholarships for the best and brightest, for those that want to go into pure research, particularly those young scholars, because when the young scholars are the ones that are most likely to not want to do it the old way. and to look for more cutting-edge types of study. And so we want to reward them. Brian Baird is going to be coming out. He just had a markup in the subcommittee on the National Science Foundation, also on NIST, where we're going to be doubling that research ability. And we have a variety of other things that we're going to get into those areas to double. So I think you see this is really, as the study was called, Rising Above the Gathering Storm. There's a gathering storm out there. Just before I came here, I was a little bit late because my daughter and her kindergarten class were over here, and I was taking them through the Capitol. And I think that it, once again, needs to remind all of us, these are not hypothetical bills. These are not just, again, things on the wall that we're trying to do, pieces of paper, or part of number 2 of the agenda that we're trying to check off. This is about our future, about our kids, and about our grandkids, and we need to keep that focus. I'm pleased that this bill passed out of our committee unanimously, and that's what we're trying to do, is build that kind of support for our future, and we thank all of you for being here. And thank you, George, for getting us.
It was very clear when we started this program that the idea of innovation and the next generation of economic growth had to be across the country, and clearly it had to go into the heartland of America. And Melissa Bean, Congresswoman Bean, has been instrumental in helping us with that part of this legislation and making sure that, again, innovation, meeting our future energy needs, is contributed by all sectors of the United States, and I'd like to recognize her.
I'm Melissa Bean, representing Illinois' 8th District, and this is such an important agenda. I'm proud, as part of the New Democratic Coalition, to be joining Speaker Pelosi and my colleagues here today to support something so important, because innovation is what makes our nation strong. It adds to our resiliency when the economy has its ups and downs. We always reinvent ourselves. And just like good CEOs who run companies who are always looking at the products that they have, that they're introducing, and those that they've had in the pipeline for some time, they're looking at where those products are in the product life cycle. Are they in introduction? Are they maturity? Are they growing? Or are they in decline? Countries have to be looking at the same thing and making sure that as a nation we're prepared to step up and be part of the new technologies and the emerging opportunities economically so that we can compete. I know my colleagues and I spend a lot of time in our districts talking to businesses there. And the number one issue that we hear about, and there's a lot of things that contribute to it, is what are we doing from a competitiveness perspective? And innovation is at the core of helping companies be competitive. This innovation agenda covers a number of different committees. We've heard from a couple committees already, and you're going to hear from some more. And within those committees, there's a lot of different pieces of legislation that contribute. But overall, the innovation agenda has to do with making sure that we're committing to creating, through our higher learning institutions, skilled workers that can compete globally, and that we can attract skilled workers as well, that we're committing to long-term R&D, that broadband access is readily available across the country, that we're committed to energy independence, and very specifically as well to small business innovation. I serve on the Small Business Committee, and I'm proud to talk today about my bill that I've introduced in the Small Business Committee called the Small Business Lending Improvement Act, which is part of this innovation agenda, because access to capital is just one more of those things that businesses need in order to be able to grow and to innovate. And what this bill does is it maximizes loan eligibility for the 7A and 504 small business loans, essentially streamlining the process towards eligibility. And what it also does is it reduces both the borrowers and the lenders' fees, so there'll be a higher participation rate as small businesses, again, are growing, building their infrastructure, and being able to innovate. Having access to those resources is critical to their growth. And again, I'm proud to be part of it, and I know Nydia Velasquez and others are going to be up speaking, and she chairs the Small Business Committee, and it has been exciting to work on that committee and do our part. Thank you.
One of the things we heard as we traveled the country meeting with the high-tech and the biotech community and again, venture capitalists, was that not everybody in that room was from a large, well-established international company. There were a number of people there who were starting the Great American Startup that were small businesses, and they spoke to us both about their cost and about their burn rate, and about compliance with federal law, and what was appropriate and not appropriate. And Chairwoman Nydia Velasquez of the small business community has been a major part in making sure that it's integrated into the innovation agenda is a recognition that we want to continue that hallmark of American discovery, and that is that individuals going out on their own, constantly reinventing the cycle, that is ensured, that is encouraged, and that we have streamlined the process so that they can do that. And with that, I would like to recognize Nydia Velasquez of New York.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Nydia Velasquez. I represent the 12th District from New York City. And it's quite fitting that we're releasing this innovation agenda today during National Small Business Week. And we have 26 million entrepreneurs in this country. They are the innovators and they are the job creators. But many of those small businesses are operating on the cutting edge of their fields. They are tireless innovators. In fact, small companies produce between 13 to 14 times as many patents per employee as their larger counterparts. Small businesses are innovative, agile, and adaptable, qualities that are key to bringing consumers the new technologies they want today. But the Small Business Committee has not been waiting to see this innovation agenda released to produce legislative actions that, in fact, will address some of the many obstacles that small businesses are facing in our country. One of them is the bill that will be considered tomorrow, the Small Business Lending Bill offered by Melissa Bean. And of course, this will improve access to capital to small businesses in our country. After all, small business means big business in America. While small businesses are blazing the trail for developing new technologies, it is clear they face their own unique set of challenges. In just the first 4 months of the new Congress, we have already begun work to reduce the cost of capital so that small innovators have access to the resources they need. Changes are also being made to ensure that current initiatives are up to date with today's business environment. We are modernizing the Small Business Innovation Research Program, an initiative that has awarded already $12 billion to small firms to invest in research and development. Steps are also being taken to ensure that small startups are being infused with the investment they need. One of the best ways to ensure this is through venture capital. This will allow aspiring entrepreneurs to access the seed capital they need to turn their dream into a reality. The innovation agenda expands the tool set available to help small companies achieve their goals. These steps reduce the time and effort entrepreneurs have to spend finding the right loan or complying with regulation, so they can devote their energy to what they do best, turning their ideas into products and into jobs. I'm very proud of Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic leadership for moving forward this innovation agenda that is going to provide the tools that small companies need in order to turn their ideas into products and to continue to expand our economy. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to recognize Congresswoman Ellen Tauscher, who is the chair of the New Democratic Coalition, brings an additional perspective to this that we heard time and again, that as we consider our future national defense needs, without further innovation, without further discovery, they too are going to be compromised. She brings the perspective not only of the New Democrats that have championed economic growth and job creation, but as a member of the Armed Services Committee and also representing one of our national labs at Lawrence Livermore, where very high level scientific investigation continues all of the time, much of it related to national security. Ellen?
Thank you, Chairman Miller. I'm Ellen Tauscher. I represent California's 10th Congressional District, and I chair the New Democrats, 63 members of the House Democratic Coalition. We are the innovators, the members that really have worked for a very long time with Speaker Pelosi in putting this innovation agenda together. We have a number of new Dems behind me, Ron Kind, Melissa Bean, Brian Baird, a number of other members that work with the various chairmen. Chairman Gordon, congratulations to you and your committee. Chairwoman Velasquez and other members that have worked significantly to promote this growth agenda. I want to congratulate Speaker Pelosi for putting these three bills forward. This is a down payment on the promise of competitiveness for the American people in the 21st century. In the district that I represent, which is next to George Miller's district, we in California are very blessed to have one of the finest public university systems in the world, the University of California. We are joined today by the Chancellor of the UCLA and the Chancellor of the University of California, Berkeley. They have been the petri dishes for well over 50 years for some of the finest innovations in science and technology, and where the teachers of the country in these different disciplines, whether it's engineering or science or healthcare, have been taught, and where they have continued to go out into the private sector eventually and create the jobs that are very important for the world. We really want to continue to support the Speaker's very innovative agenda. We think that this is the way that we deliver the promise to the American people of not only jobs in the future, but the aspiration and the optimism that they're looking for in our economy. That can-do spirit that we've had for so many decades in the United States, that many of us are concerned that we are losing because we don't have the basics being taught in school and the opportunity for people to get the kinds of jobs that they'd like. So once again, I'd like to congratulate the Speaker, and the New Democrats are 100% behind this agenda and 100% behind her. Thank you.
Now to introduce Congressman Ron Kind. Again, this is a program that is designed to bring economic growth revitalization to rural areas in America.
Thank you, George. I'm Congressman Ron Kind. I represent the 3rd Congressional District in western Wisconsin. I'm also one of the co-chairs with Ellen Tauscher here in the House. This is an important week in the history of the Congress, in the history of our country, because we're doing as we promised we would do, and that's putting forward an innovation agenda based on the studies, based on the reports that are in, with a clear direction of where we need to go in this country to remain the most innovative and creative nation in the world, which is one of the great challenges that we face as we move forward in this 21st century. But there's also a very important rural aspect to the 3 pieces of legislation that we have before the House this week. Legislation that will receive bipartisan support, strong support I anticipate in both the House and the Senate. And we're hoping the administration will come around and start matching their support with the rhetoric that they've been using in promoting the President's new American Competitiveness Initiative, which is very consistent with the legislation and the action that we're proposing as part of our innovation agenda. But over 70% of the workers in my congressional district in western Wisconsin are working in small businesses. And Melissa Bean's absolutely correct when she says access to capital, especially for technology upgrades in these small businesses, are crucial to the lifeblood of rural America. As I travel around my congressional district visiting schools asking them what they need, they continuously come back, especially in the rural areas, as highly qualified math and science technology teachers that they can get in the classroom. That we should not subject our students to fate of birth, to fate of geography with a substandard access to quality education. And this legislation emphasizing scholarship, research, highly qualified math and science teachers with loan forgiveness programs and high-risk, at-need districts is crucial to making sure that rural America isn't left behind in this pro-growth agenda. So I'm proud of the work that my colleagues here have put into the legislation. I think it is incredibly important to where we're going as a nation, to the opportunities and the doors that will be open to our children and grandchildren. This is a down payment. There's more to come, and with the support of the administration working in a bipartisan fashion, there's no telling what we can accomplish in the coming months. Thank you.
We always take the person who knows most about this and put him at the end, and that would be Rush Holt, who has been a member of the Education and Labor Committee since coming here, but has been an incredible advocate for science and math education, much of which is reflected in this legislation. I'd like to recognize Congressman Holt.
I just want to add my praise to Speaker Pelosi and Chairman Gordon for bringing this forward. As someone who is a professional scientist and a patent-earning inventor and researcher, okay, it must be time to quit. The microphones are falling here. And someone who represents great research universities, high-tech industries, I'm excited about this legislation, not so much because of what it does for entrepreneurs and broadband and energy research, as important as all of those things are. I'm really excited about this because of what it does for teachers. So that all across America, we will get good, exciting science, math, and technology education for our students. Not just the ones who are going to become scientists. Because when we look at the international comparisons of how we're slipping, it is not at the really top of the heap. We're doing well. It is all across. And that's what we've got to work on if we're going to recapture what America has been famous for centuries. Used to go by the name, Representative Tauscher talked about the can-do spirit. It also was known as Yankee ingenuity or good old American know-how. Every farmer, every shopkeeper, every manufacturer through the history of America has been thinking about how they can make things better. And that is really exciting. Americans aren't happy being somewhere down the list on rankings for international science and math. Even if they don't want to become scientists, they would be excited to have their kids and have they themselves be excited about science and math. That's what this legislation is going to do most of all. And it's a wonderful initiative that the Speaker has taken and that Chairman Gordon and others are carrying forward.
Thank you. I want to thank all my colleagues. And again, understand that this is building a public-private partnership to provide those multiple pathways for those who want to enter the teaching profession of mathematics, science, and engineers, those who want to learn from highly qualified teachers, to have those teachers available to them in those disciplines, and those who want to go on to advanced degrees and study to provide incentives for them to do that. A major and fundamental reinvestment in the intellectual talent of this nation. And this is what we said we were going to do, and this is what we are in fact doing. And we think the country is going to be more competitive and have greater economic growth as a result of this action, and is going to make sure that young children who go into those classrooms will be taught by those who have the talent to do so. And with that, we'd be delighted to answer any questions that you might have. Chairman Gordon would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I am pleased that some of our Republican colleagues had convinced the President to put a so-called competitiveness agenda in his State of the Union a while back. The problem, though, is you can talk about it, but then you can do it is two different things. If you look at the difference, and I'm afraid that's what people aren't doing. You see the headline, competitiveness, and you don't look at the next paragraph. I don't mean you, but oftentimes others. And what's happening is the President talks about competitiveness, but he puts his funds into really into the Department of Education, into a program that really is more of an effort to fund the No Child Left Behind, and which I'm glad to see being done. But the money is fungible there. It's not really addressing the real problem of teacher education that we're talking about here. He puts 70% of his competitiveness agenda money into math curriculum. Math curriculum. As Craig Barrett said, we've been teaching math a long time. We know what to do now. And so the difference there is that, we know what the problem is, and we're trying to deal with it through better teachers. Again, I'm glad that he's talking about it, and bless his heart, he's just going in the wrong direction. Do you want to answer that, Ron?
Let me just quickly add, as a member of the Education Committee for the last 10 years, it has been somewhat discouraging seeing the rhetoric from the administration and their support for this concept, but seeing where they prioritize it in the budget. I'll give you one example, enhancing education through technology funding. President recommended in his budget zero funding for the last 4 years. This is the integration of technology in classroom curriculum, something basic for our kids to make sure that they have the tools and the resources so they get comfortable using this new technology in educating themselves and developing lifelong learning habits. And yet the budget doesn't reflect what we understand to mean the new American Competitiveness Initiative. And that's why we feel with this legislation we've got to provide some impetus and see if we can get the administration to finally put in the priorities where they need to be and the funding where it needs to be, which are in programs such as this.
And, you know, we're at a pay-as-you-go budget now, which I think is the right thing to do, but it is hard to do these kind of initiatives. You know, we have to get this right, because we can't come back next year and say, oops, sorry, we put all this money into curriculum rather than into teachers. Can we have some more money to do it again? That's not going to happen. And that's why, you know, this is not hand grenades this year. You know, and this is not horseshoes. We've got to get it right, and there's a difference in the way we're going about it because we want to get it right. Yes. Lamar Alexander. Well, let me just tell you the co-sponsors of the bill. I think it's entitled the Reed-McConnell bill, and so we feel pretty good about it. They're not even going to committee. They're going directly to the floor. They're taking basically the recommendations that we have made. They want to get 60 co-sponsors. They were at, I think, 59, and I think it's on the floor. So. That'll be done very soon, and we are, you know, very much in harmony in the approach that we're taking. So this is something that's, again, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done right, and soon.
Very much. Thank you, my colleague.
Thanks,